Hey there, welcome back to What the Flick. Christy and Alonso and Matt. We've got some movie news for you, some things that are kind of floating in the ether, other things that may actually be concrete and see the light of day. We will try to get through them all, starting with the possibility of a sequel to A Quiet Place. Another Quiet Place. More Quiet Places.
A Quiet Place 2, still whispering.
Quiet Place 2, Electric Boogaloo, quietly.
No Electric Boogaloo. That joke is dead.
No, that joke is jump the shark.
Switch it to The Legend of Curly's Gold.
Oh, okay.
All
Or The
I know
Quickening.
is that the world does not need a Quiet Place sequel, and I recognize from a pragmatic perspective why they'd want to have another one
because it made money.
The first Quiet Place, you guys, has made $328 million worldwide.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean it was a wow. That's amazing. So there's going to be a different one, a second one, but the question becomes what?
Look, like I think that this is a thing, you could remake one of these without needing these stars, right? You could do a whole different story. I think it sets up an interesting idea.
Like Elsewhere on the Planet.
Elsewhere on the Planet, and I think you could maybe do some interesting work here, and within the boundaries of having to stay silent, we see them out in a farm, what's that like in the city? What's that like on the ocean, right? You could be, I don't know, it'd be interesting, right?
A quiet verse.
Right, there's some jokes that I'd seen running around, like you kind of want it to be, now they can only hear you if you are quiet, and so you have to scream all the time. Now it's a loud place, you just walk around all day going, ah!
Well, somebody was saying, like, why don't they set up a perimeter of like really loud, noise-making things like miles around them, and then that way nobody hears them. I don't know, I agree with you. Like, I don't want to see more of this. And I think certainly my impression from talking to people, this is one of those movies that while you're watching it, it's amazing, and the further away you get from it, you start asking the harder questions. But yeah, given that this was originally a Cloverfield anyway, you could have a Quiet Place universe where like, what is happening in a totally other terrain, and how are different people doing different things to cope with the same, alien invasion.
Did they figure out that all you have to do is move next door to the waterfall? Right?
Well,
all you have to do is live next door to the waterfall and you're fine.
It's hard
That's
to
not a
farm next to the
spoiler.
waterfall.
End of movie.
So anyway, John Krasinski, who directed it and wrote it and stars in it, and produced it, is very, very busy right now. He is playing Jack Ryan in a TV series reboot of the whole Jack Ryan universe.
He and Matt Damon are teaming up to do a Mark Rich movie, which, given the last time they did that movie was that fracking thing that was so bad, so I don't know what that's going to be like, but anyway.
Anyway, Collider has an interview with the producer of the original film saying they're going to take their time, there's no rush, people are busy, they want to do this right because the first one was so well received and it was so good. So I don't think we need it, but I'm sure it will be fine. Other news, other rumors. Speaking of total lack of originality, there's going to be another Little Women, more Little Women.
Right, this is a sequel called Littler Women.
Still little.
No, still little.
Lil, L-I-L. So Greta Gerwig, though, is supposedly going to direct Little Women, starring Emma Stone, Meryl Streep, Saoirse Ronan, Timothée Chalamet. So that could be good because those people are all involved in it.
But none of them are all that little.
Meryl Streep is tall.
Meryl Streep is going to be Aunt March, no question.
I'm punchy and making bad jokes.
As opposed to no. I'm sorry. Anyway,
opposed to being on point and making bad jokes.
There you go. I love the 1994 version.
Yes.
Sure, we all do. But this is a property that Hollywood loves to return to every so often. There was the 30s version with Katharine Hepburn. There was the 50s one with June Allison. Then the 90s, the Gillian Armstrong directed. But there was just the Masterpiece Theater version, the BBC one with like Emily Watson and Angela Lansbury. So it's like, really? I mean, because here's the thing, Greta Gerwig is in that magical place right now where she has chits to cash in. She made this indie, did really well, got all these Oscar nominations. She kind of has her pick of things right now. And it's sort of like, Little Women again?
You know what though? I think you might be overestimating the freedom she has, right?
Maybe.
I look at this and I say, okay, so what I see is this is a story that is, if not in the public domain.
I think it is.
It likely is. Also, there have been successful versions of this, so it's an easy sell to a studio to say, hey, look, I want to get production money for this, which people say, oh, okay, sure. And you get to cast a bunch of women that, like Meryl Streep, are a box office draw, Emma Stone as well. So it's arguably a relatively safe move, and I somewhat wonder, does someone like Greta Gerwig, does she have the freedom that we would assume that a male director has? I'm not sure.
Well, she was brought in to brush up the script. And then they said, you can go ahead and direct this.
So this is an existing.
Yeah. So I would assume then that might suggest that she's got a level of autonomy now based on the kind of respect that being elevated to director now will give her.
But I think the key word here is safe. This is a safe move.
Right. I mean, look, it's not a bad move, and I don't mean to complain. Like, great, do it. Get another successful movie out there, make this a big hit, and you'll have a bunch of studio executives go, oh, look, women go see movies about women.
Maybe it'll be set in Sacramento, right? Maybe she'll mess with, it'll be contemporary and set in Sacramento.
It'll be set in the future.
Speaking of the future,
did a modern one, I think.
Speaking of the future, do you know there's going to be a whole other Star Trek, and that Quentin Tarantino apparently is going to direct it? This is the first I've ever heard this. You know all this?
I've heard
You're
rumors
aware
about
of this?
It's been bouncing around. I'll believe it when I see it.
Okay, so why are you skeptical about this?
He wanted to make a Bond movie for a long time, and that never happened. And then I think he wanted to make a Mission Impossible movie. So I think Tarantino likes the idea of hopping onto these genres, but I think that, as we've seen with the Marvel Universe, the owners of these kind of franchises have very strict ideas about what does and doesn't fly. So I would be shocked if Paramount allowed Tarantino to make the kind of Star Trek movie that Tarantino would want to make.
Right. Would he be restricted within the parameters? Right.
Yeah.
So Zachary Quinto did an interview with this podcast, this MTV podcast, and says that apparently, like, all of the people who were in the original J.J. Abrams Star Trek are going to be in this Tarantino incarnation of it, which would suggest that there is a great deal of structure already existing there.
And that it's set in that version of this universe.
Timeline.
So the only way that works, the only way that happens is that it's in that alternate timelines mirror universe. That's the only way Tarantino gets to do a Star Trek movie, because it's I
see what you're saying. So it's not in the Abrams version. It's in the
mirror version
of the goatee universe.
Yeah, everybody's got goatees, and they're evil. And
it's a Western, but they curse a lot.
Yeah,
but it's a locked room mystery.
Are you excited about the idea of one more visit to Star Trek?
Look, I mean, I'm watching the new series, so sure. Like, I'm always up for a good Star Trek movie. I'm not
necessarily one. I'm more interested in another Star Trek movie than I am in another Tarantino movie, frankly. But if those two things, if that Venn diagram happens, I'll be very curious to see how it goes.
Right. Simon Pegg, who is in these newer Star Trek movies, actually has said that he thought Tarantino, as the choice to direct it, would be an odd thing to do. Quote, an odd thing to do.
Right. I mean, it is, because I don't know that Tarantino's typical sensibility and the stuff he's interested in fits in the universe of stories that Star Trek is so known for and gives us.
Yeah, if anything, I would imagine him wanting to do like a 1960s looking Star Trek movie where, like, where Nurse Chapel has a mini skirt and an updo, like that seems like it would have more appeal to him, but who knows?
Because he likes to borrow from that era quite a bit, right?
Exactly.
There's a time that he likes stylistically. Yeah.
Right, or if we're gonna talk about types of science fiction where Tarantino would fit, I'd say, the Battlestar Galactica reboot, the way Ron Moore was doing that, possibly even a Star Wars before Star Trek, but that's just me.
What if there was like a Star Wars and Star Trek, and they meet each other in the middle of the galaxy?
Only after Disney buys
Is that
Paramount.
allowed? I'm not sure it's even allowed.